10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hello Grenada, Carriacou and the Petit Martinique. Good day wherever you are on the World Wide Web. From New York, this is Saturday, April 11th. This is the New York Connection, and I am Harold Pysadee. The Grenada Soccer Federation is not happy with the bosses of the Caribbean Soccer Cup. We'll be finding out why. The Princess Alice Hospital at Maribo was opened on March the 4th, 1950, 65 years ago. Well, after the opening, there was a news release believed to come from the governor's office. Have you ever seen the release or read the release? Well, I'll recreate it for you. These and more on The Connection today. The Caribbean Soccer Cup here in Brooklyn, New York is the premier tournament of its kind in the tri-state that brings together teams from Grenada, St. Vincent, St. Lucia, Antigua, St. Kitts and Nevis, Trinidad and Tobago, Barbados, Jamaica, Guyana and Haiti. Well, Grenada have won and been in the finals on numerous occasions. As a matter of fact, whenever Grenada are in the finals on the Labor Day weekend, like Grenada Day, it brings together the largest gathering of Grenadians in a single event in New York. Well, all that being said, the Grenada Soccer Federation is not happy with the organizers and is appealing for a united stance by teams in the tournament to demand changes. Well, joining me now is the president of the Grenada Soccer Federation, Donald John, to discuss that. Good morning, Donald.
Hi, morning, Harold. How are you this morning?
Oh, doing great, man. Doing great. So, give us the history of the reasons why the Grenada Soccer Federation is not happy with the bosses of the Caribbean Soccer Cup.
Yeah, first of all, I'd like to say good morning and thank you to all the people out there supporting us, Grenadians and otherwise, all the businesses that have been around and have contributed to us over the years. The history. Caribbean Cup has been existing for over 23 years or so now, and it's a premier tournament showcasing Caribbean teams here in Brooklyn. What we have seen, I have only been the president of Grenada Soccer Federation from last year, taking over for Glenroy George, who has been there doing an outstanding job for a long time. And the tournament itself is a good tournament. It's a tournament that teams look forward to. It's a tournament that teams spend a lot of money to go into. All the teams that I know of would bring players from their home base, St. Lucia, Antigua, Grenada, Trinidad, all the teams, they bring in players. It's a massive expense. In our opinion, the management of the Caribbean Cup, or who call themselves the board, is either disjointed or unwilling to work with the management structure. When I say the management structure, I mean the teams itself. We have rules in place that are draconian. We have the way the league is structured, there is no real development going. There are lots of potential for development, but it's not trickling down to the teams. The decision making, for instance, last year you had a lot of issues with Team Guyana and an issue with the Caribbean Cup board. Team Guyana representatives were replaced this year. A new Guyanese representative was brought in to replace Team Guyana. Last year we had the same situation with Team Antigua, where we had two representatives show up to the same meeting. The teams representing the management teams unanimously vote that CCI, which is Caribbean Cup, and should not interfere in the management and the running of teams itself, and that no team should be replaced. The representatives of no team should be replaced on the board without due process involved in all the things.
So Donald, Donald, you're saying here then in the instance of Guyana, is that they had a traditional team that participated, they pulled out, and the Caribbean Soccer Cup went about in the Guyanese community to get a team together?
No. Guyana had a president and a vice president last year that came from the Guyanese organization with official letter, so replacing the former organization. They were recognized. They participated during the tournament last year. They had some issues that need to be sorted out with Caribbean Cup. Caribbean Cup didn't like the way the Guyanese management was moving. And although that same management last year was there, well, actually, they wasn't there because Caribbean Cup banned the president of Guyana without due process. We have a disciplinary committee that was elected by the team participating. They were not included in that decision. The executive committee body, which is voted in by the teams, was not included. As a matter of fact, they were not they did not know officially of the decision to ban the Guyanese president until a meeting this year, when the board, which constitutes about 5 members, told the entire body that Guyana president was banned. However, in the first meeting, there was another Guyanese representative, not from the same organization, because we still had the official representation from the organization by the vice president and everybody else, even if Caribbean Cup had banned the president. Team Barbados, Panama, Grenada decided we're not going forward until that Guyanese issue become resolved. The next meeting, instead of meeting with the Caribbean Cup with the Guyanese team as agreed to sort out the issue, the Caribbean Cup board now banned the vice president for another incident. So as opposed to addressing it, they made it worse. And they meet to date, to the best of my knowledge, the Guyanese was not allowed a chance to represent themselves. There was no due process. The disciplinary committee was not informed nor involved. And you see these things happening all the time. Last year they wanted to fine Team Antigua $5,000 as a performance bond. Where are you getting $5,000 to pay as a performance bond? Grenada, along with the other teams, voted out and tell them, no, you cannot have that. It doesn't make any sense. Brazil gets 7 in Brazil. So what if Grenada gave Antigua 13 when the reason why Grenada gave Antigua 13 is the Antiguan contingent sent for players from Antigua. They left and went to play for another fraction of the Antigua that Caribbean Cup was supporting. That's the faction they tried to bring in. The players refused to play the match. The organizers of the current Antigua team running them, they found players to play so that they don't forfeit the game. They got 13.
My concern, Donald, here is that when the Grenada team, the Grenada Federation, is now going to approach the Caribbean Soccer Cup, you said, as a united force with other teams. As it stands right now, can you categorically say that the majority of teams in the Caribbean Soccer Cup are not satisfied with the bosses of the federation, and so when they meet with the bosses of the Caribbean Soccer Cup to demand what they are demanding, that they will be doing so as a strong, united force with the confidence of the majority of the teams?
Based on the last meeting of the team managers, I can say we have 6 committed teams, or even 7. I have a letter here from last year that 8 team managers signed, requesting some changes from Caribbean Cup. That letter was ignored, and that's 8 out of 12. I can tell you that unanimously, teams are dissatisfied in one way or the other. Some teams like Grenada are more vocal, or Guyana. Other teams that are easier replaceable, for instance, the Antigua, Haiti, as much as they have issues, they are more reluctant to come forward as bold as we are. However, when we do a SWOT analysis on the tournament, it is our impression that it is better to spend the money we spend in Caribbean Cup, which is a humongous sum of money, into the promotion and development of football and other activities here in New York, alongside also in Grenada. We see these contributions could go to schools and clubs, to actually develop the football, so that we could not only football. We're looking at youth programs, we're looking at academic programs, we're looking at things to grow and to develop the youth. And we are of the opinion that our financial contribution and other contributions could be better served
No, that
doing something like that.
No, Donald, the Caribbean Soccer Cup tournament is scheduled to begin on the 24th of next month. As you stand here with me today, can you say, in fact, that based on what is happening today, there may not be a tournament?
I don't want to go out on a limb to say that. I think it's highly likely that, I know the tournament has been disrupted, and it's highly likely that there wouldn't be a tournament. For instance, you have teams like Barbados strongly supporting our view. You have teams like St. Lucia, St. Vincent. In the last meeting, we had 5 teams that said categorically, if Caribbean Cup do not come forward and do something different, that we would not be participating. And that was the 5 teams that made it to that meeting. I know there are other teams, but we couldn't speak to them because they didn't cast a vote. We do not want to misrepresent them.
And how powerful is the Caribbean Soccer Federation to, as a result of most teams pulling out of the tournament, if that is the case, go into the communities and have teams form in the name of the countries to participate in the tournament?
Well, they have done it over the years. They have, in the years, if they're dissatisfied with you.
And that's legal. They can do it.
Yes, as far as I know, yes. As far as I know, all they care about, to a great respect, is that they have Team Grenada. Because once there is a Team Grenada, the Grenadian fans will come out regardless because of the patriotism, etc., and the legacy of the league. So they would come out because a Grenada team is there. But we would not be just sitting idly by and allow this to happen. It's been happening for too long. There are changes that needs to be made for the development of the league. And any team manager you interview, I can have you interview any one of them. They will tell you things has to be changed. I mean, it cannot continue the way it's going.
Because the teams...
Grenada just decided to take, a stand.
Right.
Grenada along some of the other teams.
Because the teams too have to take some blame, because over the years they have accepted the substandard playing conditions, fields that are not regulation size, fields that are even the Jefferson High School playing field. I mean, that field, if to control a ball has always been a problem over the years because of the condition, the ruggedness of that field, and teams have accepted that over the years. So the teams themselves have to take some blame in being part of that that scenario for years.
Undoubtedly, we have to take some blame, but this condition of the field, I wouldn't totally put it on Caribbean Cup because it is difficult to get proper fields here in Brooklyn. There's a shortage of fields. Although it's my opinion that had Caribbean Cup been running properly, we could do much better than we are doing. And yes, over the years, teams has fall short of challenging Caribbean Cup for the betterment of the league and the players and everybody else. I don't believe the players are actually benefiting tremendously from Caribbean Cup. I think it's a small group of people just manipulating everything. That's just my opinion. There is lack of transparency on all levels. We played last year. There is not a listing of how the prize money was distributed, etc. Not clearly. You understand? There is no clear, to me, financial report. For me to get an insight into Caribbean Cup, I had to pull the 990 tax return and go through it. But there is nothing clear. And Grenada is in the process of writing to CCI as a 501c3 company to request to review their records. And we will do that officially because according to the tax return and according to the laws of the state, that's something that we can do. And I would encourage any member of the public to do that because it's open to any member of the public to request such information. I cannot speak to what happened in the past. I give a lot of credit to the organizers. I give credit to the managers that made the massive contribution over the years. However, from going forward, we started this process last year, trying to work along with Caribbean Cup. And it came to that point now because they are uncooperative. Instead of working with the team, they're trying to be more draconian. And it's not benefiting any of the players, nor the team managers. A lot of the team managers are dissatisfied. They're not as vocal as us for more than one reasons. However, we are taking a principle stand. It doesn't matter if somebody go behind our back and try to bring in a Grenada team. Well, it does matter because then we'll get an injunction on them. And stop it. But somebody has to speak out. Somebody has to take a stand.
But can you do that? What legal teeth do you have to bring an injunction?
Well, we had a problem in the past with them where we had two Grenada teams show up to play a game, and we had to get an injunction and take them to court. Something that probably Guyana could do. So let the court decide it. Whatever the court agrees, decide we have to agree to. Fortunately for us, it's one Grenada now. We have been working from the time I come on as president, and the other members of the board. We have people like Marsha Baptiste with us, Devon Pope as vice president, Glenroy George as vice president, Daniel, Angelica Richards, all these people. We have been trying to work collectively with the Grenadian community, and here in Brooklyn and back home. Credit has to be given to GFA. We have worked closely with GFA. We have Lester Smith, Chenny Joseph. Even recently, Ambrose Phillip been working on us to try to get visas, accept letters for players. Vida Bruno has been a tremendous help for us over the years in allowing players to come. So we are working with a lot of people, and we are trying to bring together the Grenadian diaspora here in Brooklyn and home to do events that would promote more than soccer. And we reach out to anybody Grenadian or anybody from a Grenadian descendants, parentage, it doesn't matter. So we, in-house, have been working alongside the Brims, and for instance, this kind of fight we're fighting here, people like Everett Watts had issues with that. A good player refused to play in Caribbean Cup because of the injustices. This is not just happening. You understand? Remember, we're looking at a tournament that people like Zagada and Dala, Douglas Drayton, and these guys have been contributing to for years.
Shalry Joseph,
of course. You understand? We have young Chevron Brown, now, who is a bright forthcoming Grenadian. He's now at Brian Stratton College, and his mom is doing a tremendous job, trying to work with him. And we want to see the public coming out to support athletes and youth like that. As much as his mom is doing, she needs the help. We don't have the resources to do what we would like to do.
Okay,
but
good.
We know there are businesses out there are people out there who can contribute, towards these youth lives.
So
that's what it's all about.
Even if it's only the Grenada team that has to do it, to pull out of the tournament because of your dissatisfaction, then that will be the case.
On principle, yes.
Gotcha.
Okay. Physically so.
Okay, quickly now, Donald, because we're running out of time. There's also another tournament, the Unity Super Soccer League, which the Grenada team, the international part of it, won, defeating Haiti, 2-1 last year to win the championship. And that league is set to begin on the 4th of next month. How are preparations coming on for that quickly? And who are some of the members of the team that we can look forward to this year?
Well, the local tournament starts earlier. The international starts a little later than that. We are actually started training Coach Hines. Is already up here from Grenada.
That's Dale Hines.
Yeah, Dale Hines. Coach a team alongside Alvin Felix. Alvin Felix out of River Road. So they are here. We started training. We will intensify the training going forward. We already make some connection with the players in Grenada, but we have a logistic problem in that we have the World Cup qualifiers going, and some of the players would not be available until after, I think, the 16th of June when the first qualifier match would be. So we have to work with GFA to see how we could coordinate which players we can bring and cannot bring, etc. So we're kind of behind on that, but here we have the players up here already in training, and
Okay, Donald. Well, we'll be following that here on the New York Connection and covering the tournament, and we'll be following what will be happening in the Caribbean Soccer Cup, and we'll be chatting with you again as time goes along, Donald. Thank you.
Okay, just before we go, Harold, I just want to say a special thank you to people like Frederick Richardson and Akoma, along with all the GFA staff and everybody that has been working with Grenada Soccer Federation, and so we look forward to a successful 2015 season, both on and off the pitch.
Donald John, thank you once again.
You're welcome.
It's historic and groundbreaking Grenada 2015 Alumni Week. A committee of secondary schools alumni from Grenada, Carriacou and Petite Martinique is hosting the first ever combined secondary schools reunion in Grenada this summer, July 30th to August 5th. Reunite with classmates, friends, and family. Reminisce on early school days and celebrate life's achievements. How can you be a part of this experience? Log on to the event website at www.gda2015alumniweek.com and register. Early registration closes March 31st. Extended registration goes until May 15th. Highlights of the reunion include the mentorship program for over 200 secondary school students, a scholarship program, and the Read Across Grenada Day initiative for primary school children. Visit the event website today for more information and get registered. Grenada 2015 Alumni Week. Embracing the past, empowering the future. For more information in Canada, call Jackie Noel at 416-459-1795. In the US, Pat Adams Nicholson 404-274-0058 or Francis Purcell at 917-282-9405. And in Grenada, Dr. Julie Dubois 405-6111.
Well, on the 4th of last month, the Princess Alice Hospital in Grenada celebrated 65 years of health services to the communities of St. Andrew, St. Patrick, St. David, and also St. John and St. Mark, and there was a big ceremony for that. Well, it was in 1950 that it was commissioned. Well, the day after, there was a release from the Governor's office, and that was submitted to me by Mrs. Nadia Benjamin of the Reynold and the Nadia Benjamin Foundation. She got a copy of that from the GG's office some years ago, and I'm going to read to you now the actual release as it came from the Governor's office way back in 1950 after the commissioning of the Princess Alice Hospital, and so it read. Her Royal Highness, the Princess Alice, Sunday afternoon formally opened the new St. Andrew's Hospital, cutting a tape stretched across the main entrance symbolizing the act. Thousands flocked to the hospital site at Mirabeau yesterday, defying uncertain weather for the historic event. When Princess Alice and the Earl of Athlone arrived at the hospital, ending an hour-and-a-half motor ride from Government House, during which they were cheered by several groups of citizens at various points en route, the national anthem was played by the Royal Marine Band of HMS Glasgow, permitted to colour the ceremony by Captain C.L. Fifth. The distinguished visitors were then conducted to a platform on which others present were His Excellency the Governor and Mrs. Arundel, Sir Clement Malone, His Honour the Administrator and Mrs. Green, Honourable Dr. L.A.P. Slinger and Mrs. Slinger, Honourable T.E. Noble-Smith, Dr. Slominski, Medical Superintendent of the new hospital, and Mrs. Slominski. Dr. Slinger, Senior Medical Officer, opened the proceedings with an address of welcome, followed by the Honourable T.E. Noble-Smith, after which the administrator asked the Princess Alice to declare the hospital open. Her Royal Highness did that, cutting a tape stretched before the main entrance with a scissors which had been handed her by Dr. Slominski. Their royal couple and other officials then inspected the hospital buildings. Princess Alice yesterday morning made a short shopping tour in the Market Square area, scores taking the opportunity to see her in person. She was accompanied by Mrs. Arundel. On Friday afternoon, after their arrival at Government House, the Princess and the Earl were taken by His Excellency to Grand Dance their last day, and Princess Alice and the Earl of Athlone will pay visits to the GBSS tomorrow morning, also the Anglican High School at Tantine, and the Presentation College and St. Joseph's Convent. In the afternoon, there'll be a garden party at Government House with some 400 guests attending. That's the way it read in 1950, right after the commissioning and opening ceremony of the Princess Alice Hospital. Well, the Boca Pass Student Association, they're having their dinner dance coming up on the 2nd of May. Yeah, beginning at 10 o'clock in the evening, and that's happening at Africa House. The dance will take place on, as I said, Saturday, May the 2nd. It's an all-inclusive affair, $75 to get in, and if you need your tickets, because you know they're working hard for the school in Grenada, you can contact any member, Edlin at 347-204-9160, Caroline at 646-331-0235. Keep the date in mind, May the 2nd, for the Boca Past Students Association, their dinner dance coming up. And the Grenada, Carriacou, and the Petit Martinique, New York Seventh-day Adventist organization inviting you to its annual Evening of Elegance Gala benefit. They're honoring the dream, they say. That's on Sunday, May the 3rd, 3 o'clock in the afternoon at the Tropical Paradise Ballroom and Banquet Hall, 1367 Utica Avenue, right here in good old Brooklyn. Tickets are $100 and available, yes. You can get your tickets by calling 347-777-9456 or at 347-787-3630. It's Sunday, May the 3rd. The Grenada, Carriacou, and the Petit Martinique, New York Seventh-day Adventist organization having their gala affair. The St. Mark's Action Committee here in New York having the bus ride to Foxwood Casino, and that's happening on the 16th of May. Keep the date, bro, and support St. Mark. The bus will be leaving Utica and Eastern Parkway at 8 o'clock in the morning, $45, and there'll be a rebate of $20. The smallest parish in Grenada have the members here in New York working hard to do their best to develop some projects for them. So please support. And the GBSS alumni here in New York, they're having their annual luncheon coming up on the 17th of May. And that's at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And it's happening at Africa House. $40 to get in. They say dress to impress. So support the GBSS alumni in their fundraiser on the 17th of May. That's a luncheon. Remember too that the drive continues to get that kit for the visually impaired in Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. John Rollo, a gentleman with a disability, he's blind, you know. He's spearheading the drive to bring independence in the mobility and orientation of the visually impaired. John Rollo is trained and is imparting his expertise on his countryfolk. His organization is called the Protective Affiliation for the Visually Impaired in Grenada, West Indies. While we continue to ask you to dig deep and help to purchase that kit so Mr. Rollo can effectively train the visually impaired. Now that kit, which is less than $100 includes a guide cane with a marshmallow rotated tip, a replacement standard pencil point tip, a digital voice recorder, preferably the Olympus brand, and a simple referee-style whistle without a ball. Now, you can contact John Rollo by email john.arollo@gmail.com. That's john.arollo@gmail.com, and Rollo is spelled RULLOW. Or you can call 473-231-5646. His Magic Jack 404-537-6072 or 473-534-2847. Remember that visual impairment is a disability with guaranteed protection under international law as mandated by the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. Good morning, John. Okay, well, that's a wrap, folks. That's all we have for you on The Connection this Saturday. Join me again, same time next time around for another Harold Pysadee in the Big Apple. You have yourselves a blessed week. Keep that smile on your face, because you're looking good.